A crowd in the Libyan city of Tobruk celebrated Tuesday night as opposition forces claimed to have seized control of cities along the northeastern coast. Libya's rebellion is the bloodiest of the uprisings that have swept across the Arab world. Human Rights Watch confirmed at least 62 deaths in the capital, Tripoli, with more than 200 killed in clashes elsewhere. Witnesses described the streets of Tripoli as a war zone. Several residents believe massacres took place overnight as forces loyal to Colonel Gaddafi drove through the streets, opening fire from pickup trucks. Colonel Gaddafi appeared on state television Tuesday with a defiant message.
معمر القذافي ما عنده منصب حتى يزعل ويستقيل منه كما فعل الروساء. معمر القذافي ليس رئيس، هو قائد ثورة.
Throughout his 42 years in power, Gaddafi has perpetuated some kind of violence, some sort of massacre, some sort of public executions every decade or so. It's kind of a strident warning to his people, don't try and oppose me, don't even think of dissent, because I will kill you, and there are heavy consequences for that. But what's happened in this past couple months is that there's been a series of uprisings in the neighborhood, specifically next door, in both Tunisia and in Egypt. And Gaddafi went on TV after the Tunisian rebellion to say it was a foreign plot. But what the people in this region have sort of suddenly lost their fear of these oppressive regimes, and they have now risen up against Gaddafi and saying those tactics aren't going to work. We don't believe it's a foreign plot. We're not afraid anymore. Gaddafi has basically hollowed out every institution in Libya, including the army. Since he himself was a 27-year-old major when he overthrew the king, he always feared the army, and so he was always shifting commanders around and making sure that they did not get too much power. And in recent years, as he's funded more and more liberation movements or armies or whatever you want to call them in Africa, when they failed, he would bring them back to Libya and he would train them as quote-unquote African legions. And I think that's who we see fighting now in the streets of Tripoli, is its mercenary soldiers who are opening fire on the people because it would be very hard to convince the Libyans to fire on their own.